Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah na'mudu wa nasta'inu wa nastaghfiru wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkal alayhi wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. May yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa may yudlil fala hadiya lahu. Wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu amma ba'd. In previous sermons we have been going over the topic of promise and the rules and etiquettes regarding it. So we have seen some of the rules regarding promises whereby if somebody makes a promise, they can make promise only in the name of Allah. They are not supposed to make in the name of father, mother or anyone else. If they do it, it will be considered as an act of shirk. Also we saw like if somebody breaks a promise for some reason, then they have to compensate for it, and the compensation for it is like providing food for 10 people or the clothes or releasing a slave. If somebody is not able to do any of these, then he has to fast for 3 days. We also went through the topic whereby if somebody has made a promise that breaks relationship, then they are not supposed to honor the promise, rather they should break and compensate for it. Similarly, if somebody had made a promise on doing something, but if they find to break the promise to something even better, then they have to break the promise again and then they have to do the compensation for it. Also we saw like when somebody is doing business or anything related to it, they are not supposed to use they are not supposed to do any false promises, and there are specific punishments. There are punishments for it if they do it. Also in the last week we saw like promise on the wasiyat, like what are the rules, when should promise be used in case of wasiyat. Also we have seen like promises in case where somebody holds a possession and when somebody doesn't hold a possession, what are all the rules. And finally we also saw the one of the rules whereby if two of them complain, like one of them complains against the other and there is no witness, how should promise be used to solve these kinds of issues. Inshallah we'll continue with some more rules and etiquettes in promise. So last week we saw if there is a property and two of them are claiming to be theirs, so if somebody brings the proof, then it will be given to them. If they don't have proof or any witness, whoever holds the possession will have an opportunity to make a promise. So they can make a promise. If they make promise, then they'll be able to claim that property. We saw that rule. Say a case whereby both of them does not hold possession. So there is a property where both of them does not hold a possession. And what is the ruling on it? And they do not have any proof. They do not have any witness. But there is a property and both say like this belongs to me. So we know like Islam is a religion which gives solutions for all. And this is one of the situation where there is no proof, there is no witness, as well as there is nobody who holds the possession. So what Islam says in this case is like out of those two, somebody has to be selected. They cannot ask both of them to do the promise. Then again the case will be like unresolved. So what Islam says in this case is they have to go for a lot, like they have to cast lot, and whoever wins will have the opportunity to make a promise, and if they promise they will claim the property. This we can find in Sunan Abu Dawud 3616, where it is narrated by Abu Huraira. Two men disputed about some property and the case was brought to Prophet Muhammad, and it says like neither of them could prove any proof or produce any proof. So Prophet Muhammad said, cast lots about the oath, whatever it may be, whether they like it or dislike it, because this is the best solution that is possible, because nobody has the proof and nobody holds the possession, but both of them are claiming that is their property. So Rasulullah suggests saying like let them cast, and whoever wins that lot will be able to make the promise. And the same the same thing has been similarly mentioned, like the point whereby in Sahih al-Bukhari 2674, Abu Huraira narrates, people asked, like Prophet asked some people to take an oath and they hurried for it. Looks like both of them hurried to make the promise. Then Prophet said, ordered the lot should be drawn amongst them, and to who would take on the oath first. So whoever wins will take the oath first. So from this hadith we can see like this is the ruling when nobody holds the possession and there isn't any proof. And also it's clearly mentioned like whether they like it or dislike it in the Sunan Abu Dawud 3616. So we might face a situation whereby we might be the other part of the problem, like we might feel like okay, we have been done injustice, but we have to understand like this is the ruling of Prophet Muhammad and we have to go with it. And last week we also saw like if somebody makes a false promise, what is the punishment. So we have to explain to them. So it's the duty on whoever is trying to solve the case. This might happen even between us, like say a person is having a son or a daughter, there is a property, or there is a jewel or money, some amount of money which the father has said like we'll be giving it to other. But since he holds the possession till the time when it comes for who should be taking it, we might be able to use these kinds of rules. At that time, we have to go with this ruling. And again, in this case, we have to understand like the person who is going to make a promise, we have to instruct them like what are all the issues they will face. You might be able to make a promise and get the reward or get the property in this world, but what are you going to lose? We have to explain them. We saw in the last week as well the Quranic verse, chapter number 3, verse number 77. We have to explain to them, if you do for the sake of money or the property, you will lose everything in the hereafter. We have to say, he will have no share in the life hereafter. God will not see him, nor will he talk to him. And he says further, on the day of judgment, he will not even purify them, and they will face a painful torment. So this is our duty. Like when somebody is ready to come and make a promise, we have to say that we just should not, if you are trying to resolve the case, we should not say like, okay, make promise and take the property. Rather, like Prophet Muhammad said, like in Sahih Bukhari 2515, Prophet Muhammad would have explained this. We have to do that. We have to explain who is going to make a promise. So you are going to make a promise. Yes, once you make the promise, you can claim it. But be warned. You should be aware. You are going to lose the hereafter if you are going to make a false promise. So we have to take all these rulings and the teachings from Prophet Muhammad. And there is another scenario, say for where there is a property without, like there is a property where he is having one witness. So he is like one witness. So how should the case be resolved? So we have seen other cases. This is one scenario whereby he has only one witness. So for that, Prophet ﷺ suggests, like Prophet ﷺ has given a ruling, which we can see in Sunan Ibn Majah 2368, 2369, 2370 and 2371. All says the same one. It is being narrated by Abu Huraira, where Prophet ﷺ passed the judgment on the basis of oath. Meaning, if somebody has one witness, then they can bring that one witness and they can promise. So if they don't bring anyone, then whoever has the possession will have it. But say he has one witness alone, so he has to bring that one witness and he will have the priority, and he will be given, like if you make a promise, and the judgment will be based on whatever he has said. So this also we have to keep in mind on the rules of the promise, as well as whatever is the solution that has been given here. And the other one, like we have seen all the rulings whereby who has to promise and what is the priority and all this. So once the case is settled, we know, like as we have seen earlier, like there can be situations where you would have been in the part of injustice. Say for the first situation wherever we saw, nobody holds possession, it's not there. When they cast the lot, say like the other person who doesn't actually, it is not his property, he wins and he is ready to promise, he promises. So how do we take that? Like once we have come for a settlement, like we have to understand this is teaching of Prophet Muhammad. Yes, we know like we have been done injustice, but this is the teaching what Prophet said. So we have to agree or we have to accept it. So once the person has made the promise, we have to understand like, okay, he has made the promise. Hereafter, there shouldn't be anything. Like we should not keep on complaining or so, because we have brought the case and it has been settled. So we should accept it. For this, we can take like a quotation from Prophet where he narrates a situation during the period of Isa alayhi salam. Like Prophet says, Isa alayhi salam sees a man stealing. He sees with his own eyes. He sees a person stealing, and he goes and asks them like, "Did you steal?" And the person replies saying, "No, by Allah, besides whom there is none who has the right to be worshipped." And he says, like he promises and says, "I did not steal." So on hearing it, Isa alayhi salam did not fight or do anything else. Rather, he says, "I believe in Allah and I suspect my eyes." So he have to see like what does Isa alayhi salam? He says like, even though he has seen him stealing, he has asked him, since he has promised, he says, okay, rather than disregarding his promise, I would rather suspect my eyes. Maybe my eyes would have done something wrong. That's how he has taken. So this we can see in Sahih al-Bukhari 3444. And the other ruling in promises, we have seen like where people would have made promise, where they would have promised to give something to others. Say somebody has made a promise of giving $1,000 to someone. Due to his certain condition, medical or unforeseen condition, he might not be able to fulfill it. So what is it that we have to do? So in those cases, whoever knows, like friends or others, whoever knows about it, they should try. If they are able to do so, they should try to help him to fulfill his promise. Because he's our own brother. Like he has made a promise thinking he'll be able to do. But if he's not able to do, we have to take that responsibility. How? Like In Sahih al-Bukhari 6654, we can see like this is narrated by Al-Bara. The Prophet Muhammad ordered us to help others to fulfill the oath. So Prophet did not say, he ordered, like if it's possible, do all the help that is required if you are able to fulfill somebody else's promise. So inshallah we'll continue further in our second khutbah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. So in the past sermons as well as today, we have seen many rulings regarding the promises and how are the promises have to be done for certain kind of situations and the priority that should be given in terms of promises. So today we have seen whereby if there is a property where nobody holds possession, there isn't any witness or proof, how should we resolve this? We have to cast the lot, and whoever wins that will be asked to make promise, and if he promises, you'll be able to claim that. And also it is our duty, like we have to instruct or warn. So when somebody is making a promise saying like they will lose the hereafter, and then warn them so that they might change at that moment in time. Like if they had the fear, like their heart might change and they might say the truth, like it is not my property. So we have to take the responsibility. I also warn them when they are about to make the promise. Also we have seen the rules whereby if somebody is having one witness, then they'll be given priority to make a promise to claim the reward. Also finally we saw like if somebody is not able to fulfill their promise, we should take a responsibility and try to help him to fulfill those promises. Let Allah make us among those who follow Quran and Sunnah in the right way. Wa idhan alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.